Hi, when you're studying the Bible, one of the first things that you need to know is, what are you studying? You need to know about the context of the passage that you're looking at. You know, the book that it's in, who wrote it, why, who did they write it to? Um, there are, those are the three basic areas you need to look at. Um, what was the book about, who wrote it, and who did they write it to? Some of those details, when you look at the book itself, the first question you need to answer is, who wrote it? Was it the Apostle Paul? Was it the prophet Jeremiah? You need to know something about them. You need to know when it was written. Was it written during the siege of Jerusalem from under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon? Was it written during the occupation of Rome, during the Roman Empire? You need to know why it was written. Was there a specific controversy that the author was addressing, or was he relaying a message from God? Was he writing law, or was he recording history? You need to know where the author was. Was he in Jerusalem? Was he in Babylon? Was he in Rome? Was he in prison? You need to look at the general themes and the imagery that the author uses in the book. For example, in the book of Galatians, Paul talks about circumcision and covenants in order to make his points. Those kinds of ideas are going to tell you a lot about why the book was written. When you get to the author, you need to know more than just the author's name. You need to know, was he a farmer? Was he a priest or a king? What's his background? What kind of education did he have? Who was he connected to? Was he a relative of a king, or did the king hate him? Was he a citizen of some other country, like Paul was a citizen of Rome? Was he a student of anyone in particular? Paul was a student of Gamaliel, so there are certain things you can know about his history based on that. Did he write any other books? And what was his stature in relation to the people, to the rest of the Israelites, the Jews, or the people he was writing to? Was he their teacher, or was he a friend, or did he know them at all? So then you need to know something about the audience. You know, who were they? Were they Jews, or were they Gentiles? Was it written to kings, or was it written just to people in general? Or was it like Proverbs, written from a father to a son? Or Song of Solomon, a play, so to speak, written by, a love story written by a man, but from the perspective of multiple people speaking to each other. You need to know the culture of the people to whom it was written. What language did they speak, and what was their religious background? If they were Jews, were they Pharisees, or were they around before the Pharisees? If they were Gentiles, were they pagans? Did they know anything at all about Judaism and Torah? Or were they very well versed in Torah, like whoever the book of Hebrews was written to? You need to know where they lived. If they were Jews, they would certainly have a different perspective if they were Jews living in Rome versus Jews living in Judea, or in Babylon, or in Egypt. Once you get a good grasp on the book that you're studying, who wrote it, who they wrote it to, why they wrote it, in the general historical context, you'll have a much better basis for understanding the contents of the book. And in the Common Sense Bible Study series, I'm going to go through some specific books, and we'll have some worksheets, and we'll answer these questions very specifically about those books, so you can get an idea of how this works. It's not complicated. You don't have to be a historian or a theologian to answer these questions. You don't have to read books and biographies. Just a surface level knowledge is good enough to get started. So this is Jay Carper, and we'll talk again later.